Hey everyone, thanks for joining. This will be a live coding stream, and I'm going to first of all discuss the results of an Orbi MeshNet upgrade. After I discuss that, we'll spend some time doing Python difference in means, and then we will hopefully, maybe or maybe not, depending on time, or it might be another stream later, do some data visualization using a web application. And maybe we will get to use the new Prisma or the new um, Blitz.js Alpha 2, um, or maybe not, because there's another project that I could be doing that my mom asked me to do for a kind of like a white elephant, gift giving application that actually I think is better suited to a stateful web application with a database. So this one will just be a visualization thing. Yeah, so I don't actually even need a database. So we're not, scratch that. We're not going to do Prisma. We're not going to do Blitz. We will just do Python and then maybe like a light visualization. So that's the plan. Okay, cool. So I live near Washington, D.C. I guess I'll clarify Washington, D.C. So all of these tests, with the exception of this one, I'll go ahead and make this green, so we know that that's an exception. Ooh, that's like a crazy green, right? Let's make it a less, like a darker green. I guess that's better. Yeah, that's better. And basically, the idea here is that in prior streams, you might have seen a recent stream where I was code mentoring with Jesse, and it sort of cut in and cut out sometimes, and I want to avoid that. So I upgraded my local meshnet. So I did several trials before and after. So I did 2 trials pre with a single connection. Looks like 2 trials pre with 2 connections going on the network. One being my current computer connected to the internet, which is doing the speed test. The secondary being running YouTube on a TV that's connected to the same mesh network, like a smart TV that runs YouTube. So that's the 2 connection setup, and I ran 2 trials of that. So when we compare those trials, we see an increase in latency from 6 to 7 to 9. So the latency seems to increase. The up speed, so 6 to 9 latency versus 8 to 7 latency. So the latency just overlaps. It's not any different. The down speed seemingly goes up, which is really counterintuitive. So I think I would just attribute that to statistical noise or no difference. And then the up speed, here we can see this one is a notably slow. But it's still not obvious that there's a difference, right? Because this is the 50 to 110 range, and this is the 93 to 110 range. And those ranges overlap. So this is all pre, which means before I upgraded the network. So I had 2 Orbi satellites, and I'll show you what series. It was like this one. Yeah, the AC3000. So these are sort of like an older Netgear Orbi that I'm using. So the RVR is the router, and then the router had 2 satellites from the same series, the AC3000 series. So I had 2 of them, and then I tried to add 2, but I believe the Orbi software maxes out at 3, which I found out. So I think it only detects 3. And this is an important contrast to these new fancy 6E mesh nets. So these Netgear Orbi quad band armor, 6E, 10 gigs, whatever. I believe you can connect 6 in a network. So that would be a router and 5. Here, let's double check this. How many satellites can I connect to Orbi? 6 satellites, right? To the Orbi Pro router. It's not clear to me that Orbi, here. Let's do Orbi 6E. Yeah. It's calling it Orbi Pro. I'm not 100% positive that these are the Orbi Pro. Anyway, I think the answer is 6 with this new one. But with the old one, in theory, you can only connect 3. Some guy on Reddit said that he was able to connect 4, hacking around, so cool. But I did not do that. So on my Orbi app, it says that 3 are now connected, whereas previously 2 were connected. So for that reason alone, I should expect better performance. Also, the layout in the house, I was able to put one in a sort of like what I think might be a dead space. So that should improve performance. And the third thing is that I was able to use slightly newer Orbis. So not those new fancy, not these fancy ones, but slightly newer than this RBR50. There is a version that is slightly newer that is backwards compatible with that. So I went with that. Let's see if I can find it quickly. RBR52, maybe? RBK. So I think the RBK is the satellite. Yeah. Let me see. I can check on the device itself. 1 second. RBS50V2. RBS50V2. Okay, so it's not an RBS52, it's an RBS50V2. Yeah. And so I don't know if that made any difference. But I got 2 of these RBS50V2s in place of the prior RBS50V1s, and then I retained an RBS50V1. So that's the test that we're doing. We can see during one of my trials, and so then I had a 3 connection pre, which is running YouTube and streaming TikTok. Did that a few times, and we can see that I had problems, basically. Orange is like a moderate could be a problem. Red is like a critical definitely is a problem. So I had oranges, like even on the single connection test, I had 9 ms latency, which I'm not sure is a problem, but it could be. One of my 3 connection trials, I got like 0.1 megabytes up in the trial. So that could be a statistical fluke, or that could be an occasional blip that I see where the upspeed is intolerable. Even if we ignore that, we can see that on the 2 connection and on the 3 connection, I'm still having upspeed in the 50 to 80 range, which is, I labeled it yellow. I'd like to ideally be over 100 at all times. Now, on the post trials, the single connection was like a lot better. Yeah, it's like 50 megs faster up. And it was 50 megs faster down, 70 megs faster up, and slightly lower latency. Although on the single connection, it wasn't low latency. Okay, so I guess if you average these out, it would be 7.5, so that's significantly faster. I only ran 1 trial over here, though. Went to the 3 connection, and we're at 140 up versus the average 3 connection. I mean, let's skip the red and then take the average of these. And so even the average is under 100, so it's like 90. And that's being generous and ignoring the dangerous 0, right? So the 3 connection was like 50% faster. Or sorry, that's not faster. 50% higher upload throughput. And then the latency was roughly no different. But latency, oh, let's see. Toward the low end, let's say. All of these latency posts are 7 or less, which is a great flag. Then I did a 4 connection post, which I never did a 4 connection pre. And the up speed continued to be around 140, which is really good because I had a Zoom call going on at that time. And that represents the scenario that I did when I was streaming coding with Jesse. The only difference is that I was not streaming at this time, which is an important difference, thus the motivation in part for the current stream. So this is Orbi mesh perf change. Let's see. Change from 2 RBS 50 to 2 RBS 50 v2 plus 1 RBS 50. Cool. All right, so how can we do a difference in means, and then how can we also visualize this? TLDR, this is a significant improvement, but we just want to go through the code just for kicks. So I can do this. Obviously, the difference in means I'll do in Python. And then I guess I can do the visualization in Python too and just have a Python server. Sounds good to me. Why not? So we will head over to GitHub. Let me sign in. I don't know how I got signed out. Authentication code. What's going on, y'all? All right, hit me with the authentication code. We just sent you an SMS. Cool. You unlocked new achievements with private contributions. Okay. Oh, I got some. Oh, dang, I got some cool new badges. That's fancy. So we are going to create a new repository. This will be mesh net perf, a stats compute plus viz app for mesh net setups. Public, private, anyone, this is public. Anyone can, y'all can go mess with this if you want to. We'll do Python here. Do I have one for NumPy or scikit? We'll just do Python. Probably gonna end up using, oh, maybe pandas. Is there a pandas one? Nope. Probably use stats model, pandas, NumPy, scikit. I don't know, something like that. Create the repo. A stats compute and viz app for meshnet setup. So we'll get the code, grab this. By the way, if you're on TikTok, you can see the full screen on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. And I think I'm streaming on LinkedIn too, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, my light is like super, ew, bad. I don't know, is that better? I feel like I'm getting like terrible lighting over here. Maybe that's better, maybe. Cool. Oh, thanks for the follow. Okay, so we'll clone this down. I got VS Code up and running over here. Let's close all this. Not dealing with those. It opened us. It defaulted us to PowerShell. Do we want to install an update? Not really. Not right now. I'm so mad that it defaulted me to PowerShell. So what I'd like to do is open a git bash terminal. We'll open it in the NextNet-Li-Fi psychiatric repo. I should do a future stream where I update that, by the way, because I have some stuff to put in there. I've seen like green on my stream monitor the whole time, so that's a really good sign. Okay, so now I'm in the workspace GitHub folder. I'll git clone. Cool, so we cloned it, so now I should be able to cd mesh net perf tab for autocomplete ls license and readme as expected. Now I will initialize a Python. Let me make sure that I have Python on this computer. Yeah, I got 3.9. That's great. That's a great version of Python to have. Pretty recent. So what I would like to do is make like a lightweight. I want to do some stats and I want to do some visualization, and I'm not sure that I want them combined. So I will make their stats. So we'll cd stats. So this will be like a monorepo approach for the time being. We might change this later. Make a stats model app. I don't really need a stats model app. I can just do a script here. So I will touch diff in means.py. So for now, this is just going to be a basic diff and means test. I will add this new cloned repo to my folder, my VS Code workspace. And this is going to be the, what did I call this thing? Meshnet perf, yeah. Okay, so now I got the meshnet perf, stats, diff and means, got the Python file right here. Grass, touch grass. Who this is? What's up? Thanks for joining, I guess. That's like a weird thing to say. Probably do a venv. Let me set up a virtual environment, I guess. Python save virtual env. Pip freeze it. You don't copy paste your venv, you export the list like this. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think I have a venv right now. Yeah, I don't have virtual env installed. I'm new to virtual env, la 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 la. You can also look into Fabric. I don't want to look into Fabric. CPU virtual env. No, okay, so I need to install the Python global module is what this comes down to. So I want to install venv. Install venv. So what are you doing here? I'm doing a basic difference in means test and comparing the prior and post meshnet performance because I did an Orbi meshnet upgrade. I know, just like we can look at the numbers, like here's the numbers. We'll turn this into like a JSON or CSV or something. We can just look at the numbers and see that like it improved performance. But for kicks, I want to demonstrate with statistical significance using the stats model. Yeah, I don't really want to do scikit. Stats model seems like the most straightforward thing to do here. So that's what we're doing for now, and then if we have spare time, we might visualize it also. Sparkly orange water. Cool. So yeah, creating a virtual environment. This is like a good practice for whenever you're like doing Python stuff. Invoke the venv command as follows. So it's Python mvenv. Okay. I think that's assuming that I have it, no? Do I already have it? Python mvenv version. Oh, I guess I have it. But it like won't let me see the package version or something. What? Whatever. So I'm setting up a virtual environment in the current directory. So I hit the dot right there. We noticed a new, VS Code is saying, we noticed a new virtual environment has been created. Do you want to select it for the workspace folder? No, this is just for this repository, not the whole workspace. So this all seems fine. Cool, I guess we just need to wait a minute because Windows is slow or something. Okay, all right, here we go. So I got my pyenv.cfg. I don't know if I want to check this in. I don't know if I should check this in. Should I check in? If you're doing development environment, use pip freeze. That makes the git repo clean. If doing production deployment, then check in the whole vim folder. Ew, interesting. Oh. Seems like the answer is like no. Like no, basically. Okay, so I'm going to add this file to my git ignore because I don't really want to check it in. I can just pip freeze and it seems like that is good enough. I mean, that comment doesn't deserve to exist. All right, cool. I want stats model. Oh, I need to activate vim. Python-m vim activate. Oh no, what's all going on here? I don't want to commit all this stuff. So vim is like making all this stuff. Oh, you know what? I really should have this vim up a level. It's fine, I guess. Boo. So activate. And include. I hate all this stuff. Why is it doing all this? Okay. Activate. Include. I'm just telling git and stats. I'll do stats slash. Say this is like vim stuff. Stats include and stats scripts. Cool. All right, so Git's now ignoring those. My bash is still not behaving in the way that I expect if I am if I have successfully activated. Check if Vim is active. Check if Vim is active. Determine if Python is running inside of Vim. The most reliable way is to check whether sys.prefix is sys.base. If they are equal, you are not in a virtual environment. If they are unequal, you are. This is dumb. Cool. All right, let's do this. Cool. I will define a main function that I will invoke just because I like to wrap my stuff. Okay. Print. All right, cool. So this will tell us if we're in Vim. What happened to my terminal here? Okay, cool. Stats, so Python stats diff means can only concatenate string, not bool. Let me cast it. In Vim, false. In Vim, false. All right, so this is saying that I'm not in my virtual environment, which I think it's true that I'm not in my virtual environment, but I'm like all mad about it because I already said like do the virtual environment. Oh crap, no, this is another terminal. Okay, now I'm here. So this is the one where I said activate. Okay, so now I need to do it over here. I had multiple terminals open. Let me close the PowerShell as well. So Python stats diff. It's like acting like this doesn't exist. Oh, I'm already in the stats directory. Diff. Okay. In Vim, false. Let's see. Is it under the active? Yeah, it's not getting activated. Ooh, I just had a red flicker on my stream. Hello. Am I lagging? Ooh, 400 drop frames. What does my speed test show right now? It looks like we're back. So I dropped 500 frames right there. Why? It's so crazy. Why did it do that? I don't understand. Maybe it really is just variation. That's so annoying. I'm gonna play back this stream. So let's see, we're at the, I feel like 28 to 29 minutes-ish. So I'll have to play back the stream and see if it like super lagged out. And I don't even have a Zoom call with anyone going on. Okay, so we created the virtual environment. Invoke as follows. It's like the same command, right? Yeah, so I'm expecting a bin folder like this. Is it because I'm on Windows? Is that the issue? By sourcing an activate script in its bin directory. Once an environment has been created, you may wish to activate it. I do. Sourcing an activate script in its bin directory. I don't see the bin directory. Windows vim no bin. Okay. On Windows, this is entirely correct. A bin directory is created on POSIX systems only from Windows notes. This page does not yet exist. Wow. Scripts instead. Yeah, okay, so scripts instead of bin. Run scripts activate. Okay. Let's try it. Python scripts activate. This file must be used with source bin activate from bash. You cannot run it directly. Okay, source scripts activate. Source scripts activate. Let me make a note. To run in vim on Windows from stats. Cool. So I think this has succeeded. So let's confirm by running the diff means. And vim true. So I'm in a virtual environment now. Heck and heck. Okay. Now I'd actually like to load my, so let's say load a CSV. And then I would like to get the diff, or like, yeah, diff and means test result. This is pseudocode, by the way, equals foobar, and then print diff and means test result. That's basically what we want to do. Equals, this will be, so we want to, really I want to, load CSV can go inside an abstracted method. So this will be compare, run diff and means. I guess in theory, I would want to load the data separately because I might have multiple statistical tests. So I should not push the abstraction down. I should have it up here. So we'll have data frame. So we'll want to load the pandas data frame. load CSV via pandas. Okay, and then this will be run diff and means function of data frame. Diff and means test result print. We can kind of like do one of these. And so what I would like to do, if we look back here, we're going to do an overall difference. So like all of the pre versus all of the post. Then I would like to so we need to do down, up, and latency. So overall down, overall up, overall latency. And then I specifically want to do 3 connection, up, down, latency. Okay, let's write tests. So this will be like run multiple, run all mean diff tests. Here, let me rewrite this. Run all mean diff tests. It's going to complain I beat him. It's not invoked yet, right? Print mean diff down MB overall. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be 9 tests we do. Down MB overall, up, and then this will be latency. And then this will be down 3 connection. Three connection, 3 connection, 3 connection without 3 connection without outlier. Okay, these are the, and then this is up, up, and then this is latency. These are the tests that I want to do. And then I'll have a to do, have this print a CSV or JSON file for web app consumption. So we'll do a file-based handoff. So whenever you have like a data science web application collaboration, the data scientist is going to create some outputs that the web developer needs to consume. And that is called a handoff. When the data scientist produces some outputs, those outputs are consumed by a web developer. That is called a handoff, which is a form of an integration. And so there's different ways that you can do this, but I am doing this in a file-based manner, which is actually not the best practice. This will not work well at scale. File-based handoff will not work well at scale. At least the way that I'm doing it will not work well at scale. There is a file-based pattern, which is a log pattern. So Kafka is a streaming logger, and that does work well at scale, and it's really nice because it has durability and failover. In general, the best practice is streaming. And streaming usually is not file-based, with the exception of Kafka that I mentioned, and similar like Kafka-like implementations. Can you please explain what it does? I'm going on programming line next year on Sql. Hey, what's up? Thanks for the question. So what we are doing is we are going to ingest this data and do a difference in means test. So this is a statistical test to see whether the mean values of two samples, whether the mean values of two samples differ significantly. And basically what you're doing there is you're checking, are these potentially members of the same population or are these two different populations? So this is like a trivial programming problem. This is actually like more of like a statistical problem. Actually, even in stats, it's a pretty trivial problem. Like difference in means is kind of like one of the most basic things you can do beyond descriptive stats. I think it is, right? It's been a while since I took a stats course. I've never taught a stats course. But I think difference in means would be like the most basic inferential statistical test that you can do. If there's another one, then kind of scratching my brain to figure out what it would be. Which programming language is this? We're using Python. So this is just a text file. We're going to translate that over. And this is Python. Like Python is great for data science, basically. All right, cool. So we're in the virtual environment. Let's load CSV via pandas. So what I want to do is actually install pandas. Python-m pip install pandas. Then I went to import. Okay, we'll wait for that to go through. I'm not going to have IntelliSense until the install is done. Oh, look, it put NumPy behind the scenes for me. Is Python better than other languages for data science? Yes, it is. Because of the existence of powerful libraries like pandas and NumPy, stats model, and so on. I guess I can go ahead and install stats model while I'm at it. Let me look up the actual method name. I guess we have some downtime. So let me look up the actual method name. Pandas read pandas read CSV. God bless pandas. It's called read CSV. God bless pandas. This is why we love pandas. And this is why we love Python. This is why we love it. We really do. Okay, cool. PyArrow engine. Whoa, that looks wicked. Experimental engine. Fuck yeah, I want an experimental engine. Why not? Where's the example? Yeah. See, there's so many options. There's like all these options, and one might easily become intimidated. So I'm like, let's look for the example code, because practically speaking, you don't need most of those options in most cases. And apparently you don't need any of those options in the happy path use case. How difficult Python is to learn? I would say moderately difficult. It's far easier than getting into the NFL. I think it's easier than getting into a college sports team. I think it's harder than algebra. I think it's probably on par with calculus. I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe it's slightly easier than calculus, or maybe it's slightly harder. I'll put it roughly on par with calculus. That's my 2 cents. Good mornings. Yeah, well, it's 9:30 p.m. where I am in the East Coast of the States, but good morning to you. Where are you hanging out from? What Python used for beside programming? Nothing. It is a programming language. That's what it is used for. Gemeyer, did I say your name right? Gemeyer, DPK. How difficult is Python to learn? I speculated that it's on par with calculus, but maybe a better answer to your question might be one that's relative to the time frame to learn. So I believe that most people can learn Python in under a year. and a small number of people can learn Python in under 3 months. You can learn a basic statement like a print statement in 5 minutes. So that's when I talk about that. When I talk about the 3-month mark and the 1-year mark, I'm talking about to the proficiency of a junior developer, to a professional level of proficiency. So that is neither total mastery on the one end, nor trivial statements like a print statement on the other end. That would be, so that's the bar that I am reporting against, the standard that I'm reporting against. When I give those estimates. By the way, I teach people to code, so feel free to use the link in my TikTok bio if you want to learn. You can book a consultation with me. I do like job placement guarantees and so forth. So these estimates that I'm giving are like not out of thin air. It's like based on people that I've worked with. Cool. We imported pandas. We also want to import pip install stats model. I think it's no dash. Let's double check. Pip install stats models. Oh, models with an S. Stats models. There you go. Pip install dash U. What does the U do? Conda Forge. I am not doing Conda. Pip install stats models. Pip install stats models. Do programming languages interact with the operating system, or do they interact with lower systems, or both? Python it interacts with the Python interpreter, which can interact with the operating system. It's sandboxed. Is it fully sandboxed or partially sandboxed? So you cannot write, yeah, let's check that. Is Python sandboxed? I think the answer is yes. So I don't think you, out of the box, the Python-based sandbox is a Python package that is imported as any other package. Let me see, let me say this differently. Can I create a can I update Windows from Python? In some ways, the answer is yes when there's like a text field. Go to the down. This is not what I want to do. How to update Python on Windows? That's not what I'm looking for. So the operating system is written in C. And what we're trying to figure out here is like the degree of driving that I can do. So I can definitely launch a C package from Python. So I can basically drive C. The question is, can I write operating system level programs? Can I write an operating system in Python? Can I write an operating system in Python? It is technically possible. That is, have only the very low-level stuff written in C and assembly and have most of the rest written in Python. Okay. So the answer is no. The answer is no. You cannot write an operating system in Python. What they're doing here, what they're describing, is using Python as the operating system driver so that it's still ultimately C and assembly. Okay, that was fun. Hey dude, been a while since I've seen you live. Yeah, it's been a while since I was live. Thanks for dropping in. Besides data analysis, what is the biggest use of Python? The next biggest use case would be web applications, and that's also an awful use case for Python, in my view. If you want to do web applications, you should be using TypeScript and possibly JavaScript. As a junior, JavaScript is fine, but as you know, it should actually be TypeScript. But that would be the next biggest use case. You can also do DevOpsy stuff with it, which is pretty common. It's pretty common. Cool. So, yeah, operating systems. Yeah, that's right. They're written in C. Windows, Apple. most of the Linux. So we have pandas. We got stats models. Let's import stats models. Does data analytics need to be good at mathematics? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's nothing that scares me more than a data scientist that doesn't understand statistics. That is a quick way to abuse data and put people in harm's way. Stats models. Okay, so here, let me create a CSV file. New file, this will be input data.csv. Input data.csv. And here I will do pandas.read. And you see I have read CSV, read Excel, read, look, all this goodness. This is why we love pandas. This is why we love pandas. And inputs. /inputs. VS Code should be helping me right now. I'm a little annoyed that VS Code can't help me right now. So this is a file path. You can see, by the way, you can see my full screen on YouTube and Twitter and all that. So you can see it's file path or buffer. Based on that type, VS Code should be able to know that I'm looking at like a file path. And then it should look on my Windows Explorer and help me determine the available relative file paths. If I was doing this in TypeScript, it would do that. But for whatever reason, I guess the Python IntelliSense in VS Code is not intelligent enough to help double check that /input data.csv is the right file name. And I'm just missing a little bit of personal assurance. I would have more personal assurance that my code was correct if it gave me that IntelliSense dropdown. Holy shit, 92 people are watching. What's up, y'all? Thanks for dropping in. Hope I'm actually educating you instead of just ranting. I teach people to learn to code. Please, follow my page if you want to learn to code. Usually I say, let's learn React, not Python. In this case, we should be using Python because it's a data science application. And that's basically the time where you do want to use Python. Thank you for all the likes. We're over 1,000 likes. Please like more. I will try. And actually, I just will. Like, I had a problem with my local meshnet recently, but it seems to have been largely resolved. Cool. So we got this input data. Here's the df, run all means test df. So this should be a data frame. Great. So IntelliSense knows that it's a data frame. That is a particular type. What I want to do here is just print dumping df summary. And then I want to df dot, I think it's summary, if I'm not mistaken, summary. Print data frame summary. Describe, okay. I guess I should use describe. I thought there was something called summary. Whatever. Trust the docs. Describe is still an any. That should be a string. Okay, whatever. Okay, so here is, let's save this, and then here is the input data. Let's create a couple rows. I guess we can just grab all of this stuff. Bam, let's just grab all of this stuff and dump it right here. Let's make a title row. This is trial ID. This will be, I don't even need a trial ID because it's just going to, like the ID will be auto-created by the row number. So I don't really need a trial ID. So I'll say is pre connection count, or this we'll call this network pressure. Network pressure is really what we're measuring there. Down, like Mbps down, Mbps up, ms latency. I want to have a flag which is outlier. I want to have another flag which is Orbi measured. Is measured by Orbi app. Let's change the flag name. Is not measured by Google. Is not measured by Google. So we'll make this more future-proof and extendable for other tests in the future. We're going to, so is pre-network pressure, so this will be actually like mesh. This will be like the mesh config. Yeah, that'll be a categorical variable. So we'll have a categorical mesh config, network pressure, Mbps, up, down, latency is outlier, is not measured by Google. I think that covers what we want. And then if I ran another test with another mesh net, it would just have a different mesh config categorical. I love it. So trial one, this will be Orbi, Orbi pre, or like, so this will be like Orbi, Orbi legacy. Network pressure will be 1. Mbps down is 193.9. Mbps up is 110.3. Latency milliseconds is 6. Is outlier is false. Is not measured by Google is false. Okay, cool. So that's trial one. Here we have, this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the way to 7 is going to be legacy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we will have Orbi 3, Orbi RBS 50v2, RBS 50v2. And we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Are bugs just wrong written lines or something that interferes with another so it just collides? I am Leslie. It's a big subject, but it's usually programming errors, not checking for overflows, etc. I am Leslie is right as always coming in clutch in the chat. Yeah, so usually it's a coding error. The other thing it could be is like version incompatibilities between systems. So like system A and system 2 would work together if the versions were correct, but for some reason, and there's multiple reasons, a wrong version gets loaded into memory and then something crashes. So that's another possible way to generate an error that does not involve a programming code error. That's an interesting topic though, because then you could say like, well, you know, it's a programming error that you didn't assure the versions. But we typically don't consider like version control to be actual programming code. It's more like configuration code. Visual Studio Code for the win. Where did you learn to program? YouTube, dog. Oh, Codecademy, to be honest. Although a little bit of YouTube also. But if you want to learn to code, I recommend the Codecademy front-end path. So Codecademy is arguably not the best in the world for learning data science. I learned this in a PhD program. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a really strong recommendation about where to learn data science. Maybe George Mason University, where I went. There is something. Learn data science online. Data Camp, is it? Is it Data Camp? Yeah, Data Camp. So I've heard good things about Data Camp. I really cannot confirm, but I've heard good things. In terms of what I would actually recommend is like a prestigious boot camp, and there's actually good research on this, or a university. So you can go to coursereport.com. I swear I can't get through a stream without mentioning coursereport.com. I guess that's a good thing. So browse schools, full stack developer, etc., but go for data science in the case that you're concerned with. And what you want to do is find a boot camp that has a score of 4.25 or better on a 5-point scale with a minimum of 400 reviews. So Lewagen, absolutely great. They don't teach in the United States last time I checked. Maybe Ironhack looks good. LGTM. Thinkful. These all look good. But you're going to get down here, 4.5. Flatiron they almost hired me. Definitely love the people over there. Some really great people over there. 4.95, yeah. So right here is where you start to dive into, we lack statistical evidence that they are effective. Doesn't mean they're definitely bad, but I would not recommend them. I would not recommend them. I wish to learn programming. Please, what's the first step to take? You can hit the link in my bio on TikTok and sign up for a consultation. Codecademy front-end path is what I generally recommend. Codecademy Pro front-end path. It's paid. If you want something free, check out Free Code Camp. It's significantly worse, but at least it's free. So we'll go to the catalog. The front-end path. Oh, they changed it a little bit. The front-end engineer. This is what you want. Not that there's anything wrong with the full-stack engineer, by the way, but it's more work. So do this, and then you can go do that if you want to. But really, you're ready to get a job once you do this. I can't believe they think that you're going to be a data scientist after 78 lessons. No, you're not. This is not a way to become a data scientist. You might get a job. I would be embarrassed for you, and I wouldn't hire you, but you might get a job with someone who's desperate. Okay, cool. Back to the main thing. I don't think we need to fill out all these rows for now. We can get... heck, let's fill out all the rows. Dang it. So single, 2, 2. So single. We'll just go ahead and fill them all out while we're here. Why not? Here's 2 connection, 2 connection, 3 connection, 3, 3. Yeah, that's it. 3, 3. And then for the V2, I did 1. I did 1, 1, 3, 4, 4. 1, 1, 3, 4, 4. So we're coding 1, 1, 3, 4, 4. Okay. Oh, this is one of those places that I wish that tab 9 would leave me alone. I can do it like this. This would be better. Okay, so we got 193. That's done. Oh, no, this is a different measure. Cool, it's just really close. So we got 193, 190, this, 208.4, 208.4, 195. This is like literally the most boring part of stats and data science that you don't hear about. This is so boring. It's just like, let's fix the data. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I feel like a stupid idiot right now. $290. Not only is this boring, but if you press the wrong button, you can totally screw up a whole statistical analysis. So you have to have a war with sleep, basically. Thank you for the follow. We've gotten a ton of follows today and almost 5,000 likes, hundreds of viewers. Thank you all very much. Just a reminder, if you're on TikTok currently, you can see the whole screen if you go to YouTube or Twitch, or Twitch, or where else? If you happen to be on my LinkedIn, that's another option. Twitter, I think I'm streaming over to Twitter as well. What are you doing? Just a difference in means test. Right now I'm constructing the input CSV. So 178.0 should match our last report. Yes, it does. Let's do it in reverse order, just for kicks. Bam, 139. This is actually doing things in much better than TikTok. Juan Cortez, thank you for joining, Juan. Good to see you on, looks like he's on YouTube over there. Doing the zigzag data entry is a way that you can sometimes prevent errors from happening. But in other cases, you might be creating errors. So good luck to me. Hopefully I'm not creating them. So this is the megabytes per second up. MVPS down, and then up comes second. Brilliant. Trial 8, which should map to line number 9, 341. Trial 8 mapped to line number 9. You can see the VS Code line number right there. $81.0 up. Before that, trial 6 should line 107, or should be line 7, 106.8. Here's the outlier, trial 5, right? Let's go ahead and enter the latency here, and that is 7 for trial 5, 7 millisecond latency. Unremarkable latency. Is outlier true? Okay, and then is not measured by Google is false. All of the other entries will have true for this second from right column value. 009 now with the 110 trial 4 matched to line 5, 55.2. By the way, medical doctors also do this practice where they say out loud what they're doing as they do it. In part, it puts the patients at ease. In part, it alerts the peers in the present area. They can follow along and call out if something goes wrong, which I'm hoping y'all will keep me honest. And if something is going wrong, then you can call it out. But I'm pretty confident so far. Okay, so we got false, false for record 1. We already deleted record 1, so here's trial 2 mapped to line 3. Trial 2 mapped to line 3, 93.6 MB up, 93.6 MB up. Looks good. Is outlier, all of these should be false. So I'm just going to go false, 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 false. False, 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 false. Let's do a comma false. Now, all of is not measured by Google. They should all be false with one exception. The exception would be trial 8. Trial 8 is an Orbi-based test. We've already placed it on the first and last record, second from last. I'm going to place them all. I know I've made an error. I'm going to go correct the singular row. The singular row, trial 8, maps to line 9. Verify that. Trial 8 has a 290, 0 down. Line 9, 290, 0 down. We want it to be not measured by Google is true. We've made the change. And that, my friends, is a freshly wrangled CSV input data set. Geez, that was time consuming and boring. That's what data wrangling is. It's time consuming and boring. You also need to think through what are the variables that you're capturing, how can I future proof my data set, how can I name things in a way that makes sense. It makes it easy to consume and process by the program. Cool. Is that you working with Meta? Nah. Nah. I'm working at a company called Upstart. I turned down Google. I left Amazon. We in fintech now, my dog. Can you show how to create a SQL injection? Not today, my friend. Hit me up another day. I will show you how to run a SQL injection. Okay. So first of all, I just want to dump the description. So, and this will test that the input CSV was properly formed and loaded. So let's just run the program. So Python diff and means. Cool, so in virtual environment is true as expected. Then we error out on line 36. What's going on? Main, call stack line 17. This errors. Why does this error? Why did this error? So diff and so, oh, I didn't return anything. That's a problem. Return foobar. So we're going to return foobar. Let's see if that works. Can only concatenate string method, not method to string. Oh, okay. So I didn't invoke the. What happened there? Diff and means test result. I can't cast a string to a string is what it seems to be saying. Let's see if this fixes it. That surprises me. df.describe. Oh, okay. Describe is a method. df.describe is a method. So let's call it, and hopefully the result is a string. Guess and check. No problem with guess and check. Okay, 38, 17, 22. 22 is erroring, that's the dump. So ufunc add did not contain a loop with signature methods. So I guess the result of describe is not a string. Here's describe. The result is technically an any. Oh, Leslie, I didn't know you did that. That's awesome. Kudos. Kudos, kudos. I just want like the first few rows. Head. Let's try head. I think head is a summary method. Turns the first n rows, default being 5. Yeah, it works for me. Now, is it an invocable? That's what I don't know. Can only concatenate yada yada yada. All right, so are you telling me this is an invocable? I can just cast df directly to string. You know what? I don't think it's going to let me do this. Let's see. Oh, it did. Look at that. Okay. Okay, so so here is a proper log. This is a great time to commit to back everything up. So let's go ahead. This will be feat init wrangle input. Init wrangle input. Okay. commit. We'll do a separate commit, which is a chore for ignore event. All right. Small, well-written commits is what we love. So we've committed two files and 2 commits, 1 file per commit. This third one will be init, or like feat, init main. I'll say init main. You could throw the parens on there. I'm just going to leave it like that. Here, I'll throw the parens on there. I literally don't care. If someone is really bent about the parens, it could say init main method. How about that? I'm totally fine with this though. I'm going to go over to the command line and just get pushed from the command line because I like to see the results. Yeah, the text that comes from there. In case anything goes wrong, I get to see the text of what went wrong. What language and IDE is this? This is Python. And the IDE is VS Code. Where did you learn to do this? I learned statistical analysis in an economics PhD program. Jason, hey Jason, what's up, my guy? The IDE is VS Code. He right. Y'all, Jason's the man, especially if you're into trading. Go follow him for sure. Glad to see you here. But okay, so what we just logged is some of the CSV. Now, notice, ooh, we got not a number over there. Not a number over there. I don't want to see that, okay? Otherwise, the data looks good. One thing that I'm not enjoying is that MBPS down is sometimes false. So somehow this stuff is getting parsed out incorrectly. So let's take a look. 93.60 network pressure. 93.60. And then I'm expecting 2 rows further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I got some missing columns. Look at that. Okay, so the 93.60 is mesh config 1, 2, and then mesh config was coerced to a number. I'm not pressed by that. It's totally fine. 93.60. Oh, okay, this is just an offset kind of issue. Dumping of df summary. Let me line break this because it is a little confusing. So I'm going to break this into 2 lines by creating 2 print statements. So you see this like offset looks kind of weird. It looks like 1 is the mesh config. Really 0 is the mesh, or really Orbi legacy is the mesh config, but there's like an indentation thing. Enjoy some Python, no types. Yeah, I could add types if I want, but meh. It's I'd have to bring in some libraries and stuff. Okay, so now we see the indentation is better, right? Can you see that? Oi. Now mesh config is sitting right above Orbi legacy. And we can see that 93.60, the MS latency is jacked up. And that produces this false, is because it's reading the string literal false. Basically, there's a missing column and stuff got shifted to the left. So by the time we get to is measured by Google, we got not a number, when really it should be false, but there's actually no record there. It's absent, so it's coerced to not a number. Roses, he throwing roses, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, so all we need to do is find the correct latency values, insert them, and this should correct the situation. How do we find the correct latency values? We need to go to the Google Doc, which is our data source, our raw data source. 93.6, so 9 millisecond latency. I think these were all adjacent, so it should be trial 234. Trial 234, latency 978. 978. We'll repair the CSV. 978. Adding the comma after all of those. Let's run the script again. And we can see that there are no longer any not a number problems. Now what I would like to do is, just make sure, because head is only printing the top 5. I just want to like print the whole thing. This would not really be tenable to do in a scaled environment, but we have a small data set, so I can do that. And yeah, unfortunately, as I suspected, a bunch of latencies are missing. So we'll just add them. In a scaled environment, you would need to run some sort of like batch job that actually ran a function and went row by row and tested. Is usually what you would need to do. There's some other things you could do in some special cases. You might be able to get away with like a vector function. Or you might not. Okay. So trial 4 is repaired. We're on a 0 base, so trial 4 would be row 5. Sorry, I didn't think correctly. We're on a 0 base, so trial 4 would be row 3. And it looks like the following is also good, so literally all of them after that, 6 through 11. 6 through 11, so let's go, so then row 6, trial 6, row 5. So trial 6 and onward, we need all the latencies. So trial 6, we got 8, 9, I'm gonna do 3 at a time. 8, 9, and then this is tricky. Here I'll say guess 5 ms. So 895 should end us on trial 8. Here I'm telling this because the MBPS are reported with a decimal and the latency is not. So there's a decimal followed by a string. Decimal, single number, string. So this should be trial 8, matches to, no, this is trial 6, matches to row 7, because we have a title line. And now I need to remember the milliseconds. So trial 6, 8, 9, 5. So trial 6 is 8. 7, 9, 8, 5. Row 9 maps to trial 8, 5 milliseconds. Trial 8, guess 5 milliseconds. Great. Now we need to do 9, 10, 11, respectively 5, 7, 6. 9, 10, 11, respectively 5. Whoa, no it's not. It is. Wow, that's super fast. 9, 10, 11. Isn't this Shrek 2? No. 9, 10, 11, respectively 5, 7, 6. Here's 9, which maps to row 10, respectively 5, 7, and 6. So very last would be trial 12 matched to row 13, trial 12, 6 milliseconds. Verify decimal, comma, single number, comma, string. And it looks repaired to me. Let's log out diff and means. And the whole data frame is now whole. It is now repaired. So here I will do fix, df input, break the line twice. I'll say and log entire df. Df input, specifically latency column. Specifically latency column, and log entire df. So we'll commit all that, push it on the command line. All right, all right, all right. What do you recommend for Linux, Bash, PHP, or Perl? I like Zish, actually, and that's what I use in my day job, but on Windows, Git Bash is basically as good as it gets. Yeah, PHP, no thanks. Perl is actually a lot of fun to me. I like Strawberry Perl in particular, but like I wouldn't really recommend that to other people. I just think it's fun because I'm goofy. Really, you should be doing Bash or Zish. Okay, cool. So we have fixed the input data. All of this is looking good. Now, I'm just going to do one of these for the purposes of this stream. We're going to do the mean diff down. We're going to do the up, mean diff up megabytes overall. This is the one we'll do for now. To do all the tests you didn't, like all 8 tests you skipped the first time with dry code. So probably like, you see how these are organized into 3 blocks of 3? I could probably do a couple loops and just have one method with a couple inputs and use the same code over and over. That would be the dry method. But I'm not going to do all that today because I'm not going to do all these tests today. I'm just going to do line 27 currently. And so the way that I'll do this, print mean diff up megabyte overall. Yeah, so I'm going to go mesh config 1, mesh config 2. These are the 2 means. I'm going to compute their means, and then I will do the mean difference test. So mesh config 1, mesh config 2. Those can be 2 inputs into a function that just generally does a means test. Mesh config 1, mesh config 2. The other thing I will need to do is specify that I want the up. Specify that I want the up. Actually, I don't need a dry method here because stats model has the dry method out of the box. This is why we love Python, y'all. This is why we love pandas. This is why we love stats model. The dry method that I need, now that I'm thinking through how the data frame is organized, I can just get the data frame, extract the Orbi legacy. I can do this all in one line. This is going to be pretty cool. Let's see. So the mean, let's call this mean diff up MB overall. Yeah. Here I can do plus. I will coerce a string out of the result. The result is of stats model dot the means diff test method. Let's Google that. Stats model mean diff test. I think it's just, oh, weighted stats. I don't really want the weighted stats. Why do you say Perl should be avoided? Because of Yagni. This is why you should avoid Perl. This is an architectural major key. Which of the following principles can be followed for software design and agile projects? Yagni solid. Bam. Dry kiss Yagni. You gotta love them. These are the major keys, y'all. Dry kiss and Yagni. I should do like a TikTok on this. 3 major keys. Dry kiss Yagni. I feel stressful while watching. That's hilarious. It's all good vibes over here. Let's keep it good vibes. We are here to learn. I like COBOL. Get out of here. My nose really itches. Is it really weighted stats? I don't want to do a weighted comparison. Is it just it happens to be in a library that's called weighted stats and it's just like a confusing name? Stats model mean diff test. That's what it's called. It's a difference in means. Stats model, let me write it like this. Difference in means. And the same result pops. The same result pops, right? Here's the t-test. Yeah. Okay. I believe this is just a weight stats library name and that the method does not involve a weighted mean. Or maybe it's like, you could argue that it's like a linearly weighted mean or evenly weighted mean. Yeah, see, here we go. But that's basically the same as saying an unweighted mean. So it's just a crazy name, I think. Lower upper. What does it mean, lower upper? Let's give this guy the upvote because this is the from data. And I think from data is what I use. Let me double check. So I have a different data science project. This kind of feels like pulling a cheat code, but use them if you got them. So on a different project, I do a bunch of means tests. So we'll just verify data science practice. No, I don't want to check my data science practice. I want to check my dissertation. Repository, dis. This one better be penned. Is this penned? I worked so hard on this thing. Yeah, okay, it's penned. I didn't really even need to search for it. I could just look here. Papers, like any of these. Alt Ed Prestige. I think gender effects. I do like hella mean difference tests. Exploratory. Skew test. Yep. And then here's the mean. Mean. Diff test by gender, p-val, yeah. T-test and stats. Stats? From SciPy. Ooh. I didn't use stats model? Cool. I like this API more. Don't you? T-test of independence. T-test p-value. So we're going to go SciPy. That feels really weird that I'm using SciPy versus stats model. Technically, it is a t-test of independence. That's like a better. Unit test and stats model are against ours. Prop test, boo. Stats model as prop. This is a different thing. I don't want this. Library for statistics, t-test, independent samples, t-test. This would be independent samples t-test. Yes, it would. Here's Penguin. Why are we using Penguin? And then there's the visualization. Matplotlib and Seaborn. Love it, love it. We're not going to get to that today. SciPy.stats. SciPy. We're just not using stats model at all for this. Oh. Stats model for OLS. Okay. I guess I just got the library purpose mixed up in my head. Like, you're going to do regression, but you're not going to do tests of independence. It kind of trips me out because I like, in my head, they're kind of isomorphic, but anyway. SciPy it is. Let's install SciPy. What's going on here? We are doing a difference in means test. So they have a compare means thing, but like for some reason it's, no, we're gonna go SciPy. At this point, I think I can close this doc. The data's good. So here we're going to do this. So this is the t-test p-val. SciPy import stats. Python-m pip install SciPy. Requirement already satisfied. And then I will do uninstall stats models, because we actually don't need stats models. After I uninstall stats models, I'm going to reinstall SciPy because I don't know if it was installed as a dependency. Okay, so that seems to work. Now I can pip Python-m pip freeze requirements.txt. I think I did that correctly. We'll see. Here's a requirements file, looking good. We'll commit that by itself. Chore rex. You gotta talk that talk, you know what I mean? Thank you for the follows. Okay, we're getting close to being able to actually run the test. So we have the t-test for independence of population of samples, not populations. Okay, you don't know that they're different populations until you pass or fail. Okay, so this is the mean diff up. Yeah, mean diff up MB overall. P. So I'll specify the p-value. I'll specify the p-value because that's what I really care about. Pretty sure in all these cases I ended up just like, yeah, casting the p-value to a string, right? That's really what we care about, is the p-value. P-value, mean diff. P-value, diff and means, MBPS up overall. I've rephrased that to make more sense in my head. There's the p-value. What would be a good starter pack for coding? Codecademy. Front-end Developer Pro. There you go. Go there. Tell them John sent you. I should get like a referral link or something, because I think I've sent them like hundreds of people by now. I am Leslie, agree 100% JavaScript. But I would say front-end career path is going to teach you JavaScript. And then I think it even gets into TypeScript, which is really great. What's your IDE? That would be called VS Code. VS Code. Right here, VS Code. Okay. So here I have df, and I want to do df dot. I'm going to actually read it this way with the bracket notation. And what I want to look for is, I want to get where the mesh config is Orbi legacy. There's a way to do this. What is the syntax for this? Let me look at my cheat code, reference code, where I did this stuff previously. Yeah, so you can do this sort of syntax right here, right? D-skewed male is greater than 0. So the way to rephrase this, df, and then we subselect on the df, and then we'll read a property out of the subselection. Okay, so we take the original data frame and we're going to subselect where the data frame mesh config is double equals, I don't think Python has the triple equals, does it? Orbi legacy. And then out of that, we are going to read the mbps up. Here's the one-liner, folks. I guess like putting it in one line is kind of nasty. Let's break it. Putting it in one line is kind of nasty, although you can. One line if you're nasty. And then here, this would be the Orbi. This would be the other. Okay, so let's run it. Oh, sorry. Okay, everything's already up to date. No problem. Print string, really, bro? Let's see. Print string df. Does it just auto print if I don't do that? Let's see. So the p-value of a difference in means, the p-value is .01, which is statistically significant at the 5 threshold, the .05 threshold. So this would be considered a highly statistically significant difference. That doesn't actually tell us which is greater. So I will need to do the means, I will need to do the mean separately. Mean, so this will be the, I want to replicate the same thing right here. P-value, but this time I want to do the mean diff. Mean diff. And then instead of diff and means here, this will be like what minus what. And this will be Orbi legacy minus okay, so that's what I want to do. This is not the correct value. Let's see if I can just print the data frame, if that will work. I don't like the subsystem for Linux because last time I tried it, it just didn't work. I'm also on Windows 10. Apparently in Windows, hold on. Yeah, in Windows 11, I hear it's like a lot better. When I use the Windows subsystem for Linux, the file system can't interoperate, right? So the Linux side and the Windows side, they actually can't interoperate. It's really like, it's almost like you're running 2 computers out of 1 computer. So if I was going to do that, which I have done that, I'd rather just have 2 computers. So here, when I'm using the git bash, it's just a lot more seamless. I can actually access like the Windows API if I need to, even though I really don't need to, but I could in theory. Really, I can get to my file system, which is the big deal. Like when I'm reading in my input data, that's the real reason. Although, frankly, I'd rather be on a Mac. But this is my gaming PC. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. Thanks for bearing with me. As far as I can tell, we had one sort of blip in the lag. Yeah, we're still at around 500 drop frames, which is all from that one frame drop event around the 28 to 29 minute mark. You can connect through VS Code though. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe there's some secret sauce I'm not aware of. I'm very sure that the subsystem has improved since I last used it. So maybe it's easy now. Cool. What I want to do that I'm not doing is I want to actually compute the averages here, the average differences here. So I'll go ahead and extract these variables because really I just want to get the mean here. So I'll call this mbps Orbi legacy, mbps Orbi legacy, and this should be the MBPS up. MBPS up. And then here will be the MPBS up of this thing. Thanks again for the follow. VS Code remote extension if you're interested. Yeah. Isn't that just the, I thought that was like a Docker container thing. VS Code remote. Yeah, this is SSH for, okay. There's remote SSH and remote containers and remote WSL. Look at that, that's lit. I use remote containers like all the time. So thanks again. I'm Leslie for the win. Yeah, I should check this out. I'm not gonna install it right now. It has 15 million 5 stars. Let me install it right now. Hell yeah, let's install it. That's awesome. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay. Orbi legacy, this. So we are testing the independence of these two samples. Result note, yes, or like, yes, sig difference at alpha less than 0.05 level. Or is it the 5% alpha level? I think those are equivalent, so I don't care. MBPS Orbi legacy dot mean. Is that a thing? Okay, so let's try this. Mean diff, mean of, and it went crazy. Bound method. Okay, it's a bound method, so do I need to invoke it? It really went crazy when I did that, didn't it? Mean diff, Orbi legacy, MBPS overall. Okay, so that's not actually the mean diff. That is simply the legacy mean. So here I'll do rounded mean diff equals this minus, and then let's grab the v2 dot mean. Here's the rounded mean diff, and we want to round it. Python round float. Round, gotta love it, don't you? But I want to round it to in digits, perfect. Oh, the page lagged. We're not here for that. Why do you need to round it? I don't need to. I just prefer to for readability. Okay, all right, fair enough. I appreciate my precise audience. Very, very precise. Yeah, it was just for printing, but let's not round it then. So we'll call it the mean diff. Mean diff. Rounding is for simps or something. So 10 minus 20 would be negative 10, right? 10 minus 20. 10 minus 20 would be negative 10. So negative means the ladder is faster. You can do print x colon 6f. Okay. That's for like the significant digits. I think this works. I think what we've done works. So what we've established is so result note new config uploads mbps about 110 faster, statistical significance at alpha less than 0.005. Okay, so the result note is that the new configuration uploads about 110 megabytes per second faster because we did the old minus the new, and it was about 110 negative. Yeah, for formatting float, you would never round the underlying numbers, bad practice. I agree. I appreciate the precision of my audience. That is a welcome comment. So we did not end up rounding it. Anyway, so this is the, that's the result note. For the other tests, to do all 8 tests, you skip the first time with dry code. So we're going to do those in a different stream. Thank you all for joining. That's going to do it for today. Please follow the page. If you want to learn to code, if you already know how to code, and you just like hanging out with coders, I got hella memes. If you're here for the nerdy memes, stick around. And I usually try to stream like a couple times a week, usually on Saturday evenings and then also at random times. Have a good evening. See ya. Thank you so much. All right, YouTube, Twitch, let's see, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok.